Everyone at the range thought she didn't belong. They didn't even bother to watch until her first shot broke the record no one else could touch. The bell over the door gave a sharp clang as Selena Marshall stepped into Clearwater target range. Heads turned. Some folks squinted. Some barely looked up from their coffee-stained score sheets. The smell of gunpowder hung heavy in the air, mixed with sweat and old leather. Selena didn't flinch. She tugged the strap of her duffel bag higher on her shoulder and moved toward the front desk, her boots thudding lightly on the scuffed linoleum floor. Behind the counter, an older man with a thick gray mustache, name tag reading Rick, barely glanced at her. "Sign-ups are over there," he said, pointing without looking. Selena gave a small nod, even though she didn't get a real hello, and scribbled her name onto the paper. Her handwriting was neat, practiced. She had learned long ago that when people were already looking for reasons to doubt you, you didn't hand them any extra ammunition. The range buzzed with low chatter. She caught snippets. Asterisk, new blood today, probably going to pack up after her first round, should be quick. Asterisk Selena set her bag down on a bench and started unpacking, methodical, precise. Ear protection, gloves, rifle case. No wasted movements. Years of muscle memory kicked in. The kind you don't lose, even when the world tries to make you second-guess yourself. She wore simple jeans and a plain green jacket. No fancy patches. No tactical gear dripping off her like some of the regulars. Just her and her tools. A group of men, near lane 5, kept glancing over. One, a stocky guy in a trucker cap and a red T-shirt stretched tight over his belly, whispered something that made the others laugh. Selena heard it. She heard all of it, but she didn't give them the satisfaction of reacting. She pulled her rifle from its case, inspected the barrel, and clicked the scope into place with the calmness of someone checking the weather. "Hey, Rick," Trucker Cap called out, loud enough for half the building to hear. "Might want to clear a spot near the exit. This one might not stay long." More laughter. A few chuckles echoed off the concrete walls. Rick just shrugged. He wasn't about to defend her. Selena's face stayed smooth, unreadable. But inside there was a steady, burning focus, the kind that doesn't explode outward but sharpens to a razor's edge. She settled onto a bench near the far wall, loading her magazine slowly, deliberately. Her hands moved with the kind of ease that only comes from years of training. Long before anyone thought they had the right to size her up, the announcement crackled through the overhead speaker. Asterisk, open competition starts in 10 minutes. Get ready. Asterisk people shuffled around, checking their gear, laughing louder now, trying to cover their nerves. Selena could feel the sideways glances, the weight of assumption stacked against her like sandbags. She didn't mind. She wasn't there for them. She was there because somewhere deep inside her, deeper than pride, deeper than anger, was a certainty of knowing exactly who she was. The kind of certainty nobody could take away. The shot. Selena glanced at the old corkboard near the desk, where the Hall of Fame scores were pinned. One name dominated the sheet for the past 6 years. Brett Dawson, local hero, shot a perfect score on moving targets back in 2017. People still talked about it like it happened yesterday. Selena smiled to herself. Records were meant to be broken. But first, there was the matter of stepping up to the line and proving it. The range master's voice barked over the loudspeaker. Asterisk, first group, take your positions. Asterisk Selena wasn't up yet. She had drawn a late slot. Time to watch and wait. The first wave of competitors lined up. A man with a polished black rifle jerked the trigger too hard, pulling his shots low. A woman in a camo jacket flinched every time she fired. No one was perfect, but they cheered each other anyway. A little club of shared assumptions. Brett Dawson wasn't competing today. He stood back, arms folded across his chest, chatting with buddies near the vending machines. From time to time, he looked over at Selena, not meanly, but like she was a new dog at the park, waiting to see if she'd bark or bolt. Selena met his glance once, quick, neutral, then turned her attention back to her equipment. The moment. Asterisk, Selena Marshall, lane 7. Asterisk, the announcement cut through the small talk like a blade. Every head turned. Some pretended not to look. Others didn't bother hiding it. Selena rose from the bench, lifting her rifle with practiced ease. Her boots made a soft, deliberate sound against the concrete floor. She didn't hurry. She didn't drag her feet. Just a clean, even walk toward the line. Lane 7 sat near the far end of the range, half shadowed by afternoon light pouring through the high windows. Asterisk good. Fewer distractions. Asterisk. She stepped onto the lane, set her gear down carefully, and began her setup. Adjusted the stand. Checked the scope. A Vortex model, battered but clean. The kind that told you the shooter cared more about performance than price tags. To her right, a pair of men leaned against a partition, whispering. One shook his head like he already knew how this would end. Selena blocked them out, asterisk one bullet at a time. That's how you beat expectations. Asterisk. Rick sauntered down the line, clipboard in hand. He paused briefly at lane 7, gave her rifle a once-over, then scribbled something without a word. Maybe he thought she didn't belong. Maybe he didn't care. Didn't matter. She loaded her first round. The metallic click was loud in her ears despite the muffs. Her hand hovered over the bolt, not from hesitation, but from ritual. A silent promise to herself. Asterisk focus. Breathe. Break. Asterisk. She leaned into the stock, feeling the familiar weight settle against her shoulder. The target downrange swayed slightly in the air currents. Selena adjusted for it without thinking. The range master raised a hand. Asterisk shooter ready? Asterisk. Selena gave a small, firm thumbs up. A few latecomers wandered toward the seating area, drawn by the low buzz of expectation. Somebody elbowed Brett Dawson, muttering something Selena couldn't hear. Brett smirked, arms still crossed, eyes locked on lane 7. The range master dropped his hand. Selena squeezed the trigger. The shot snapped through the air, sharper than most, almost musical. The bullet punched clean through the center ring. Dead on. There was no roar of approval. No whistles. Just a sudden, heavy silence. The kind that rolls in when the world realizes it might have made a mistake. Selena didn't move. She chambered the next round smoothly, not looking at the growing audience behind her. Another breath. Another squeeze. Crack. Again. Dead center. Somewhere behind her, a folding chair creaked loudly as someone sat down too fast. Selena worked through her shots, steady, methodical, as if she were the only person in the room. By the time she emptied her first magazine, there wasn't a single casual conversation left at Clearwater target range. Only the sound of a single woman firing with the precision of a machine. Except machines didn't know how to make it look this effortless. Selena stood back as the range master moved into inspector sheet. Even from where she stood, she could see it, a cluster of holes so tight it looked like one big tear. Rick checked the monitor, brow furrowing. "You're trending higher than anyone today," he said, voice rough around the edges. Selena didn't react. She loaded one final round. Asterisk, this one wasn't just about precision. This was the exclamation point. Asterisk. She lined up the sights. Her breathing slowed to a whisper. The final shot landed with brutal perfection. Dead center again. She set the rifle down gently, like a musician laying down an instrument after the last note fades. The range master let out a low breath. Asterisk, new record. Asterisk. Brett Dawson pushed off on the wall, walking slowly toward lane 7. He stopped a few feet away, really looking at her this time. "That was solid work," he said, voice low, almost grudging. Selena didn't smile, didn't gloat. She just met his eyes with the same calm she carried through every shot. Asterisk, thanks. Asterisk. Someone clapped in the back, one awkward beat, then a few more joined in. Selena nodded once, almost a bow, and slung her rifle bag over her shoulder. She wasn't interested in being a spectacle. She wasn't there to teach lessons. But she knew, as she walked away, that the lesson had landed harder than any bullet ever could. Selena pulled out of the parking lot without a backward glance. She didn't need a photo on the wall to remind her of what she'd done. The late afternoon sun threw long shadows across the streets of Clearwater. She drove with the windows down, the warm wind tugging at the edges of her jacket. At a red light, she caught a reflection in the side mirror. For a second, she thought about all the girls growing up in places like Broken Bow, girls who might walk into rooms one day and be looked at like they didn't belong. She hoped, somehow, the story would ripple out, not in a big, noisy way, but in quiet conversations, in second thoughts, in small changes. Maybe the next time someone new walked through those doors, there would be just a little more room made for them. The light turned green. Selena pulled onto the highway, the sun dropping lower behind her. Her dad's voice floated back to her from old memories. Asterisk, you don't have to shout to be heard. You just have to hit your mark. Asterisk, Selena smiled. There was power in showing people who you were, without asking their permission. And that was enough.